I'm Mindy Goebel with the Richmond Chamber of Commerce, and we want to welcome you to our candidate forum tonight. We will be talking to all of the magistrate candidates, and so this will be videoed. If you want to share it with someone or get it out there to other people, that would be great. So tonight I would like to introduce to you Christy Runyon Middleton. She will be our moderator for the evening, and then Cecile Schubert, we want to thank her for being our timer. And we're going to start, and Christy will get us started, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Mindy, and to the Chamber for hosting these important forums. And I have the least difficult job at this table with my co-host up here, who has to tell everyone to stop talking. So we have condensed our signage for this second round of forums. If you were here with us the first time around, we did give you a little bit of a 15-second warning to let you know to wrap it up. So this time we just have a stop. So finish your sentence at that point, and your allotted time has passed. We do remind our candidates and all of our audience and anyone watching at home as well that we will begin the forum with 1 minute for each candidate to give an opening statement. We ask that you also share the district that you either represent or are seeking to represent in this race, and anything else that you want to share during that 1 minute opening. At that point, we will begin with some questions that will be directed to every candidate to answer, and then we will begin pulling some random questions that will be given to each candidate. We do remind our audience that if you submit questions, they must be questions that are directed to any candidate. We will not ask any questions that are specifically directed at any one candidate to keep it fair. If we are ready to go this evening, we will begin with our 1 minute remarks, and we will start with Larry Collins.
Well, thank you, and I'm tempted to death for the opportunity to be here. I didn't think I could be, but I'm here. And you've got a good partner there with you, because she's been around just about as long as I have. So, I know she knows how to use the clock, because she's used it on me several times. But let me say, my name is Larry Combs. I'm the Magistrates 1st District, which really takes in all of Berea. There's a few places it doesn't take in that Tom has, but other than that, it takes in just about all the city. And then I have some outlying areas, Red Lick and places like that. And it's been an honor for me. I hate to bring this out, but I'm going to. I've been there 37 years. This is my 10th election. And the people in Southern Madison County have been very, very good to me. And I feel like I've done a good job, and I think that's why they keep returning me. But I'm glad to be here, and I hope that I can answer any question you have. And if I can't, I'll never know it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Roger Larger.
Roger Larger, I'm the magistrate of the 2nd District, and my district runs from the north end of edge of Richmond all the way north to Clay's Ferry on both sides of Interstate 75, so far over on each side. Been a magistrate for 4 terms. All I want to do is try to help the people make a better life in Madison County for them. Including, I want to say that I'm married to Teresa Hatfield Larger. I got 2 children, Heather and Chris, both married, and got 2 grandbabies and 1 grandbaby on the way.
Next, we will hear from Scott Johnson.
Thank you, Christy. My name is Scott Johnson. I'm your candidate for 2nd District Magistrate. Rogers gave the details of that, so I won't repeat that. I'm married to Jenny Johnson. She works in education at B. Michael Caldwell Middle School. My children are here tonight, Tyler and Mackenzie. My son just started his freshman year at Eastern, and my daughter is a sophomore in high school. You know, I was born and raised in Madison County, educated here, and now working here. I volunteered for various organizations, which has led me to see many strengths and needs that we have for our county. So that's what led me to run for this position, because I think I can bring my leadership skills that I've proven in the past to be able to take our county forward. I think it's time for some different things to happen and different insights to come forth. So that was the main reason I decided to run, and I look forward to, it's an awesome honor to go out and meet all the people that I've met for the past several weeks, knocking on doors, going to events, and the things that goes on in our county. Is just, we're thankful to be here. Thank you.
Next, we will have Billy Ray Hughes.
Yes, my name is Billy Ray Hughes, and I'm running for 3rd District Magistrate. I want to start off by saying, you know, it's not going to be too good a day when the TV station shows up at your front porch to ask you about a post that you put on Facebook. And what I did, I unfortunately put a post I shouldn't have put on a page. I realized my mistake, and I took it down and apologized for that. But when you take off a post, they don't necessarily disappear, so that continues to follow me even as we speak right now. And I apologize. I apologize to the citizens of Madison County for that. But I grew up here in Madison County, in the Waco area. I went to Eastern Kentucky University. I have multiple degrees there. I got my MBA in 2012. I have a lot of good experience that I can really help my county because I love my county and I love to be able to help. And that's why I'm running for magistrate. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from John Tudor.
My name is John Tudor. I've served as your magistrate in District 3 for the last 4 years. Been glad to be able to do that. I'm a lifelong resident of Madison County. I've been actively in my community as serving on the Madison County Utilities Board. I was past president of Madison County Beef Cattle Association. I've served as elder, still serve as elder at the First Christian Church. I was board chair at the First Christian Church. I retired from the United States Postal Service after 34 years of service. I was a rural carrier, and most of that time I served the 3rd District. So I'm familiar with the people out there, and I've got a lot of good friends out there. I was born and raised on a farm and learned the value of honesty, hard work, and dependability. The value of a dollar and spending it wisely. Some of the projects that I've been proudly been involved with is changing the formula for the way that the blacktop funding is divided up. We now divide that proportionally per mile.
And next, we will have Tom Bach.
Well, good evening, Christine. I guess, first of all, I would just like to start out by saying that we appreciate your time and you coming in and giving us that opportunity.
Put it further to your, put it right up.
Hello? Is that working?
And they put new batteries in there.
Hey, listen, that's not the first time I've been put on the spot and things not work the way they're supposed to. If you're in county government, that's just the way it's going to go. So just let me start off by saying once again that, Christy, we thank you for your time. I'd like to thank Eastern for providing this facility that we have, not only for this, but for the other forums and the other different events that go on here. We're good partners with them, and we appreciate that. And I'd also, if you're in office, you also know that your time is very valuable. I work 3rd shift full-time at the Yokonite Company, and then I get off and I run all day for the county. That's possible by one thing and one thing only, and she's sitting right back here. Karen, if you would, I've been married 38 years to Karen Bachman. If you would just raise your hand so everybody can see you, that's the reason for that. The 4th District, as you are asking, runs from basically everything south of Barnes Mill to the North Bria exit. It goes from Kingston all the way down to Poozy Ridge, the Kentucky River. Thank you.
All right, thank you to all of our candidates for your opening remarks. We will begin with a question for each candidate, and we'll keep going from my left to right with the order for that. Some of you have commented a little bit on your background, but just to give a chance for everyone to share with the audience, if you could tell us about some of your experience and successes working as a public servant or any community service that you have done for our community thus far. We'll start with Larry Combs.
Well, I've done a lot of community service work, and I continue to do that daily. The job as magistrate is a little more demanding today than it's ever been. And the reason for that is there's not near the money that we normally had. So you have to justify where you spend your money, how you spend your money, and do the best you can for your constituents. Now, I'm telling you, people this day are more demanding than they've ever been. And I don't blame them for that. They only want the best for themselves and their children and people around them, and I don't blame them. But it's getting to the point, it's almost impossible for any of these masters to do everything that they ask. But, you know, we try, and we will continue to try. But as far as doing everything, no. And we have problems in this county that we have to address. I'm not going to get into those, but we do. We got problems we got to address.
Roger Barger, same question on your experience and history as a public servant or with community service.
Most of my public service would have been done through my church. Whenever there was a need for when they've had a tragedy or whatever, going to see if we could help them in some way. Just like when the tornado hit, you know, a group get together and go try to help people stick up their lives and get back together. That's what most of my community service is doing. As far as service to the public, I was in business for myself ever since I was 25 years old. Run a muffler shop for 26 years. Dedicated my life to that until I got into politics and run for magistrate.
Scott Johnson, same question.
Thank you. I've been in banking for 21 years, so that gives me a lot of experience with budgets, making hard decisions on a daily basis, overseeing lots of monies that we have to decide what to do and the decisions we make for our customers. I serve currently on 8 different community service boards, so I have a vast range of experience from that. I've chaired many events. I've been president of many of those clubs, from the Richmond Chamber to the Arts Council, Architectural Review Board, anything in youth soccer. My children are my life, and most of the things I've done in that time has been evolved around making sure that they have a better opportunities to make this community strong and to make them a great place to live for everyone. Everything I've done is not for me, it's for the community and the people that are involved in it. So with all those different boards I've served on, I've been very successful in fundraising, looking for new ideas, bringing new things to the table. Not saying that things can, you know, sometimes when it's broken, you don't want to change it, you just keep going with it, but there's always opportunities for other ideas and ways to make that happen. Thank you.
Billy Ray Hughes, your comment on your public service and community service round.
Okay. One of the things I'm kind of proud of is I was instrumental in helping start the Waco Hurricane Club, and this has been over 20 years ago, and we reopened the Waco Volunteer Fire Department, which had been mothballed for several years. And I remember us dragging out them old fire trucks and shining them up, and now if you look at the Waco Volunteer Fire Department, they're a shining star in our county. Our volunteer fire departments are. I have so much respect for those guys. But I serve on numerous boards even today in our community. I serve on the Baptist Health Foundation Board. I serve on the Soil Conservation District Board. And I've also been a member of the Madison County International Committee. And I've been on that committee for many years. And that's a wonderful aspect of our community. And also, I was a plant manager at GR Spring Stamping. We provided over 200 jobs for Madison Countyans during that time there, and really had a good time while we were doing it.
John Tudor, same question.
Thank you, Christy. I want to continue on the idea about being able to lay more blacktop in the 3rd District, because I was able to take a resolution before the fiscal court and get our blacktop money, our blacktop funds divided proportionally per mile. Before it had been divided 4 equal ways, and my district has twice as many miles as some of the other districts, so it was hard to keep my roads paved in the same condition as some of the other districts. So I'm proud of being able to divide that money up equally, that each mile has the same amount of funding toward it. Another project that I've worked with is I've been able to work with Tom Fitzgerald and Craig Williams sitting there behind you, and very proud of this, that we together have been able to prevent the repurposing of a 75-year-old pipeline that runs through Madison County, from Round Hill through Richmond, through College Hill, It's within a mile of 6 schools, Waco, or not Waco, but Danny Boone, Kit Carson, Central, Clark Moore, and not Clark Moore's, but Cottle and Marshall.
And Tom Botkin, reflecting on your public service and community service.
Well, for 20 years, I served the residents of Madison County in the United States Army. I was a Chief Warrant Officer for 3. I retired in '97, and during that time, I fought to defend the Constitution of the United States and the freedoms and the liberties that everyone in this room has to take the opportunity of today. I chose in 2004 to become a public servant for one reason and for one reason only, and that was simply to help people that didn't have the opportunity to help themselves. As I drove around in the 4th District and met folks, and even today, of the 16,000 people that I represent, most of those people, they don't want big things. Most people want small things. They're tired of driving in a pothole that's out in front of their house, or they've got a guardrail in a curve that they'd like to have fixed, or there's a dangerous place they'd like to have a sign put up. And for those reasons, I chose to become a public servant in 2004, and I'm asking for a second term as that.
Okay, I hope I'm not causing problems for our videographer back there, but I'm going to mix it up and go from my right to the left for the next question. Again, same question to every candidate, because this is a pretty broad one, the question that came in from our audience. What do you consider to be the biggest problem or most pressing issue in Madison County, and what do you plan to do to address it? And we will begin again with Tom starting this round.
Listen, that's a really, really, really good question, Christy. And if you live in the 4th District, the absolute top priority has to be the safe destruction of 523 tons of the deadliest nerve agent and mustard gas in the world. Of course, the 4th District borders on 2 sides of the depot, on the south side and on the west side. And so I've got a lot of concerns about that. I've been through that facility several times. There's a lot of safety. There's a lot of redundant safety, but yet the first live round has not been put through that facility. And I just want to tell you, we're talking about an agent. It's hard to describe it, but we're talking about an agent that a bottle full would kill everybody in this room. So we're talking about a very serious concern out at that depot. Of course, we have lots of concerns. We have a drug war that's going on. Top priority for us also has to be continue that fight on that. We've supported our Sheriff's Department over the last 3 years with $1.2 million a year. In this budget alone, we've given them $1.5 million a year. Thank you.
John, same question, and what you see as the biggest problem or issue facing our county?
Well, like Tom said, we've got several problems, but I'll just go over a couple. I think the job market, I've talked with Superintendent David Gillum. There's in the planning stage of building some IT facilities for our high school students here in the county, one in the north end, one in the south end. Not everybody needs to go to college anymore. We need people that's willing to come right out of high school and go into these IT facilities, vocational schools, and find a job immediately. And I think that's our job. We need to work on some jobs and bringing some factories in and work on getting their economy growing through that. One of the other issues is overcrowding at the jail. That is everybody's knowledge of that. There's over 400 inmates in a facility that would house 192. And so we've got plans to work on doing that. And so we need to move forward with that also.
Hillary, same question on the biggest issue or problem that you see facing Madison County.
I think that cost concerns, the cost of government is a fast-growing problem because it contributes to a lot of other problems like the overcrowded jail or infrastructure needs that we can't afford, and so just financial needs of the county. And I've heard politicians say, well, you either got 2 choices, either increase revenue or cut services. But I come from the business sector, and what we did in the business sector is we improved productivity, and we had to do that. And every year we could continue to give salary increases, and at the same time improve our profitability by utilizing innovations in technology and improvements in our operation. And I think for those that's in business, it's pretty common that we think that government could utilize some of the same practices that businesses have used for many years.
Scott, your thoughts on the biggest problems and issues facing our county?
Well, I think it's twofold with the drug problem in the jail. I think that's where a lot of that comes from, is the drug issues we have faced today. I said it before and I'll say it again, I think a lot of that goes back to our youth, starting at younger ages, education, and I know there's some projects going right now to get into schools and continue that. I'd like to see that expand. It's got to be more depth with working with all students across the county. That's got to be a partnership between the city, the county, EKU, whoever we can pull in to make this happen. A little more specific, I think one of the biggest problems in 2nd District is exit 95. I've heard it over and over from many of my constituents that says that we have not, that has went way too long, and why we have not got that fixed. So that is the forefront of my goal, is to get that exit, and I'll work my hardest to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Roger, your thoughts on the same question with our most pressing issues and problems in the county?
Well, the Army depot, like Tom said, is a major issue, but pertaining to our county government, physical court, I think the drug epidemic is at the top of the list. As the others have said, the jail is full, way over its capacity. We need money to build a new jail. Not that that's the answer to the drug epidemic, but half of them or more wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the drug problem, and we wouldn't be trying to search for money to build a new jail. I can give Mr. Johnson the state's phone number, like we call him about every month or two, and find out why they haven't fixed that road. It's not ours, it's the state's. But we've pushed and pushed, and I've been getting answers for 14 or 16 years that I've been there. They'll be pushing dirt next year, and it's never happened. Thank you.
And Larry, same question on the biggest problem or issue you see facing the county?
Well, I'm not saying it's a problem because I think we've got it under hand now, but the depot would rank number 1. You can ask Craig, he'll tell you that, and with his leadership, keeping the court informed, it helps us to make better decisions. The second thing would be the drug problem. No one in this room has an answer for it, and if you do, write it down on a piece of paper, give it to me, and I'll present it to the court, because we don't have an answer for it. All we're doing is spending money after money after money, and I'm not knocking the law enforcement by any means, but they can only do so much. A lot of that has to go back home. Someone mentioned about working with the school system. Not everybody's suited for college. I toughed it out 2 years. I wish I'd stayed 2 more, but not everybody's suited, and vocational would rank up there really good. And I've talked to Mr. Gillen about this, and we need to continue on that and really work together with all the entities to help that.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will have one more question that will be directed at everyone, the same question before we begin some individual questions. This one is a question that we see several things similar related to this on economic development for our county. What strategies would you support and ideas would you bring to the county related to generating more revenue and encouraging economic development? And we'll start with Mr. Combs.
Well, the economic development is a big part of county government, and there is money there, but you have to know how to get it. And without it, you can't do the projects that you want to do. So in turn, we have to be up to date with everything that the state offers, and to be honest with you, they don't offer much. I'm not a school teacher, but ask them, they'll answer that question for you. But economic development is a big thing for the county, and we continually to upgrade a lot of our rules and regulations to abide by what they want done. And I think as time goes on, you're going to see we're going to use it more and more and more.
Mr. Berger, what are your thoughts and ideas on supporting economic development and new revenue for our county?
Well, it's a big task for us to find new revenue funds, particularly because we got 2 cities that whenever we find an area that we might look for a factory to go in or whatever, it's going to be annexed sooner or later. by then, we still would get a portion of the payroll tax, but that's minimal of what we'd get if we had it on our own. We're looking for new revenues every day, but they're just not out there offered to a county like they are to a city that's got all the factories and the businesses.
And Mr. Johnson, same question on your thoughts and strategies for economic development and revenue generation.
Well, one thing that I think needs to happen, and it's been talked about over and over, is an economic development person for our county that works with the city, the county, to make those opportunities come to fruition. It's been talked about over and over. The chamber supports it being something that would be great for our area to be able to bring more things to our community for businesses so we'd have more revenue. Especially the continued growth in the second district, especially, you're seeing more and more businesses open, but there's lots of opportunity up there as well. Someone working on that full time, whether it's a part-time to start with, till they get going, but I think that's something that needs to be looked at, and I would be very supportive of that position if it comes about.
Mr. Hughes, same question on your strategies for economic development and revenue for our county.
The primary thing that will bring business is to have a business-friendly environment. And that means we need to be welcoming to new businesses, and sometimes that's not exactly the feedback that we get from businesses that are trying to establish. So I think that's one thing we can do, and make sure that our regulations are not onerous. We do have the Richmond Industrial Development Corporation who has invested in a industrial park, and they're actively seeking industry. But the big problem in the state now is it's a workforce shortage, that there are more positions open than there are people to fill them. And it's almost in every field when you look at people that are looking for workers. So I think we need more people in Madison County. Industry won't come if they don't have the workforce. So what comes first, the workforce or the industry? We have challenges.
Mr. Tudor, your thoughts and ideas for economic development and revenue for our county.
Well, we go to these magistrates meetings in Louisville and Frankfort, and we have these conferences, and we're told that so many applicants cannot pass a drug test. These companies cannot find enough qualified people that will pass a drug test. So I feel like we need to continue to work with our school system, Superintendent Gillum, get some IT facilities up and running, some vocational schools built, and have these people job ready, so when the factories are coming in looking to hire people, we will have somebody ready to take those positions. It's not that we don't have enough people here in Madison County to fill the positions. There's so many that will not pass the drug test, and that's holding so many people back.
And Mr. Botkin, same question. What strategies would you bring to economic development and revenue generation?
Christy, I think first of all, one of the top priorities for us as we go forward as not just the county government, but also with the Richmond and Bridge City government, is we need to get in the thought pattern of having one economic development person. We had an opportunity back earlier in the year, last year, to attract a major automotive maker. And the problem with it was when we took the secretary from the Frankfurt on the tour of it, we saw a little piece in Berea, we saw a little piece in Richmond, and we saw a little piece in the county, but we didn't represent ourselves as a whole very well. Just to be honest with you, who cares where a major manufacturer builds a plant at, whether it's in the city of Berea or the city of Richmond, or whether it's out in the county? Who cares where that goes? What that means is new jobs, homes, autos, increasing the tax base, more people paying in so we can help our jails, so we can help all kinds of facilities. We took a big step toward that, this physical court here just recently, in that we had the approval of a physical opportunity zone.
Thank you, gentlemen, for those questions that have been answered by each of you. We will now begin with the individual questions that will be selected at random, those that have been submitted by some of our audience or from online submissions that we will ask. And again, each candidate will have an individual question to answer. We will go back from my right to the left, so we'll start with you for this round, Mr. Bakken. The question that we will start with is related to planning and zoning. What is your view on working with the cities of Berea and Richmond for anticipated growth in our next 10 or 20 years?
I want to finish up my last question on my part of my time this time. We took a major step in creating jobs and bringing new industry in this county. With the physical court a couple of months ago, we created a opportunity zone, which basically is everything west of Interstate 75 over there. Planning zone will be heavily involved on that when those companies come in. That opportunity in that area over there is going to bring a tax incentive for industries that come into this area. That's going to help us increase jobs. Planning and zoning across the county, everybody does their own thing. Some things work good, some things don't work so good. Planning and zoning in Madison County, there are some improvements that we can make, and a lot of that is just on how that property is kept up, where you maintain your home, grass getting cut. We have a process that works, but it's really, really, really slow. The City of Richmond has a 7-day process. I would like to see us in Madison County adopt their process. We send you a letter if your grass needs mowing. We come out in 7 days. You haven't responded. We come out and go. We put a lien on your tax bill.
Mr. Tudor, your question. What do you see as some of the key agricultural opportunities for Madison County farmers?
You asked that to a farmer, you know that, don't you?
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Who's going right down the list there?
Christy, there's some experimental phases of growing hemp around the state. I feel like that might be an opportunity for the farmers. It has to be economical, feasible for the farmer to make some money at that. Hemp is a product that can be used for so many clothing. I saw the other day that hemp is now being used for toilet paper. How many trees can be saved by using hemp for paper products? I think it's something we need to look at. As a farmer, we continue to raise cattle. There's a few tobacco crops still being raised in Madison County. But I think when I was growing up, our farmers were all diversified. We had so many different crops and so many different products we could receive money from. But we need to diversify a little bit more and find some more crops that are economically feasible that farmers can make money at.
And Mr. Hughes, your question. What do you see as some of the most pressing issues related to safety of our youth in the community, and how would you hope to address these problems?
Well, we know that in terms of the substance abuse problem, the epidemic that we have, and there have been many studies that indicate that the patterns of an abuser are established as a youth. And in the past, I have, along with the ASAP board, they have recommended what's called a social host ordinance. And I still advocate for that, because what we find is if a teenager consumes alcohol before legal age, they're like 7 times more likely to be an abuser of alcohol when they grow up. So we need to make sure, we need to strive to keep our kids from utilizing alcohol before they are of age.
Thank you. Another look at the draw. I anticipate that our second district candidates have opinions on this question. What can be done about the condition of roads and bridges at exit 95 and the congestion in that area? Mr. Johnson.
Well, I know there's a proposed plan for that, and as Mr. Barger said, they keep promising, but they don't make it come to fruition. You know, to redesign that exit has got to happen. It's a safety issue. The bridge is deteriorating. It was never designed to hold the big trucks that sit on it for long periods of time. I live at that exit, so I'm very familiar with it, and I hear complaints about it over and over and over. And, you know, a reroute is the only option, and to move some things around. I think the plan they have, but they just got to make it happen. I mean, you can talk all you want and you can't stop on them until you make it happen. And working with the representatives and the senator from our area to make sure that happens is crucial on their part too. So, you know, I find that if you keep pounding, eventually it'll happen, and stay in their face about it. So I just, you know, I know there's been a lot of work done on it, but I just think it's time to make that happen.
And Mr. Varner, do you feel that Richmond's public employees are able to handle our changing population with respect to language and cultural differences? And how would you like to improve this area?
The Richmond employees,
I'm sorry, the Madison County employees.
yeah, I think we're capable of being able to handle that. I don't think we've got that big an issue right now with the languages or whatever that of the people that's coming in here. Yeah, with Easter being here, with the education that we have in the schools, I don't see any issue that we have with translating people from different languages.
And Mr. Combs, your question? How do you think the county, what do you think is the county's role in promoting sustainable practices and environmentally friendly practices such as energy and water conservation, decreasing use of toxics, recycling, etc.?
Well, you know, we have a cleanup each and every year on solid waste and stuff that they can bring in, we can dispose of. We have a tar pickup once a year, which, I don't hold me to this, but it was several thousand that we got last weekend that was brought in. As far as the water, you know, we're not in the water business, but there's probably ways that we could work with the two cities to help them. I think anytime you have cooperation between two cities and the county, is the best thing that you possibly can do. And not just this area, but all areas, roads, hospitals, EMS, all areas that we can work together. It cuts it down each time that you get another entity on board and you get new ideas. We don't have all the right answers. I wish I did, but I don't. Thank you.
We'll give you a second to catch your breath there, and then we'll go back down this direction. Again, we will have individual questions that each candidate will respond to. We'll start with Mr. Holmes for this round again. In this question, do you feel there is a need for a public transportation system or expansion throughout the county?
Well, I'm sure there is, but I don't know who asked that question, but we do have that now through Kentucky River Foothills, which it doesn't say Madison County Physical Court on it, but we fund that each and every year and have for the past probably 5 years maybe. And we put up several $1,000s each and every year for that, and it has worked good. And I think some of us have rode that just to see how it's working. And it will surprise you. It will surprise you who gets on there and they're tickled to death with it. The key, I think, is to advertise that we have this program. They pick them up, take them to hospitals, they take them to grocery stores, they come back, they get them. But the problem has been in the past, it hadn't been advertised so everybody understands that they can use that service. I think it's $1. So, you know, it's not no big cost. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Barger, tourism and festivals can be an important economic development revenue stream for many communities. What ideas would you have to support or expand festivals and related tourism for our county?
Well, we have a Whitehall Park, which has quite a bit of acreage with it that we could host. First thing that comes to mind to me is like a car show, which I know it doesn't bring people staying overnight that much, but you could work it into where it would be a 2 or 3 day thing, you know, with vendors coming in to sell parts for that and whatever. But that type of thing is why Whitehall Park will always be a big event area. We've got a lot of acres there to do things with that a lot of places don't have. You've got the Whitehall Shrine, it's a Whitehall historical site now, I think it's doing the shrine, and that would draw some people to it as well.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, your question. What ideas do you have on improving or expanding green space and activity spaces that would appeal to our county residents?
Well, as you know, I'm a big proponent of youth sports in the county, and that's something we lack of right now is green space for particularly soccer. Lake Grebe is great. It's been a great use for our community in the city, but I'd like to see a better partnership with the county and some of the green space they have to be able to utilize for those areas as well. Soccer has grown to be the largest organization in the county for our sports, and we have almost the same amount of space we've had that I started on the board 14 years ago. So needless to say, we're in desperate need of field space, and the other sports as well. It needs improvement on that. Quality of life is important to me, and that's one of the reasons our community is so special. I want to see that continues to be something special to keep people living here and enjoying living here. And it goes into the drug epidemic. You know, you keep kids busy, keep them out of trouble, keep them focused on other activities that keeps them out of trouble. If they have downtime, that's when the trouble starts. So green space is important in that aspect, and I think it tied to more of the sports, and that's a way to bring more revenue in when you have tournaments and things in our community. So thank you.
Mr. Hughes, what actions do you plan to take or do you feel are needed to improve communication between various county departments, the judge executive, and magistrates within our county government system?
That's a good question. I'd like to broaden it just a little bit, that we would increase communications between the three governments more so than we have been doing in the past. We could do much better by establishing joint meetings with the cities of Richmond and cities of Berea, where we can identify areas that we can cooperate and try to improve some efficiencies in providing services to our constituents.
Thank you. Mr. Tudor, what are your thoughts on a potential tax increase for our citizens of Madison County?
You would have to hit me with that one, wouldn't you?
We got the farming question last round, so.
That's all right. You know, Christy, we are about 99% budgeted on our revenue. We're going to have to find some revenue fund streams somewhere to continue the services that we provide now. The number one funds right now that are costing our county so much is, everybody knows, the jail. We are funding it to the figure of about $2 million extra a year. The Sheriff's Department is getting about $1 million, and our road department is taking about $700,000 above what their budget is. So everybody knows that you can't operate if you don't have the funds.
Thank you. And Mr. Bakken, what do you see as some of the most pressing issues when it comes to maintenance, whether that's property within the county, individual property? What maintenance issues do you feel would be a priority as a magistrate for the county?
Well, Christy, if we're talking about property maintenance, then it's just, if you live in a neighborhood and you live in a nice neighborhood and you want to take care of your home, whether you're in the city or whether you're in the county, I think our ordinance needs to be enforced a little more quickly. You know, you've got a nice home, you've lived 20 or 30 years there, a lot of neighborhoods start degrading in time. People don't mow their grass, people junk up their yards. You know, there's no need for those things. You know, we have an ordinance in place that we can follow to improve that, to make sure that you're taking care of your property, and we should enforce those strictly.
Thank you all so much for answering those individual questions, and to anyone who has submitted those. We've tried to combine a lot of the topics into questions that have at least been brought up once this evening. As we're heading toward the end of our time here, we would like to give each candidate another opportunity to provide any closing statements that they would like to make or address any issue that has come up that they would like to discuss further. A minute and a half. You get some extra time for Mrs. Shooter. So we will have a minute and a half to make those closing remarks, and we will begin with Mr. Combs.
Well, I could talk all night. A minute and a half wouldn't be very long, but I've enjoyed the the years that I've been on the court, I rely on a lot of people in my district to keep me informed on what's going on, and I have a good rapport with them. And you know, you have to listen to your constituents. Each magistrate has about the same number of constituents. That's why I kind of balked when John talked about dividing the money different. Well, I understand his point, and he will tell you, and I will agree with him, I've given money out of my funds to help other magistrates, and they have me. I got a bridge that had to be done, they give up some of their money. I got a road that the state set aside money, but it was actually for another place, but I had one that was falling in, and they give their part up. So, you know, we have to be willing to work with each other, and I am willing to work, even though I'm not happy at times. You're not going to be happy with your wife all the time, but you got to get along. And I do get along with all the other magistrates, and I will continue to do that. And I will continue to work for my constituents in my district because I feel like I know their needs, although they give me a new one each and every day. So I try to adjust my schedule or my part of my money towards that, and I've enjoyed being here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Barger, your closing thoughts. You will have 90 seconds.
I have something written because I couldn't remember it all. Memory's not that good. So. As your magistrate, I have continued to be fair, honest, and available to all that I represent in my second district. At times, I am presented with issues that are in my district that are out of my control. This generally involves the State Transportation Cabinet or the U.S. Coast Guard due to the Valley View Ferry being in my district. I voiced my concerns of these issues to those involved as well as my representatives at the state and federal level. I can only do what regulations will allow me to do. Magistrates actually only have official power by their voting court. By working well with different departments in our county government, we usually get the job done. Of my time on the fiscal court, I have witnessed less funding and grant opportunities at the state and federal levels, mandates, layers of paperwork, and working your way up the ladder has taken its toll, not only in just our county, but most counties in Kentucky. This by no means is an easy job as a servant to the taxpayers. But remember, we are taxpayers too. Just as I am obligated to do my very best for my family, I assure you that as your magistrate of District 2, I will do no less for yours. I appreciate your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, you have a minute and a half for your closing remarks.
Thank you, Christy. First of all, again, I didn't say it earlier, but I want to thank the Chamber and you all for taking your time out to be here tonight. Again, I'm Scott Johnson. I'm passionate about this community. I look forward to serving on fiscal court. It would be an honor. It'd be a proud honor to do so. I think a new face and a new vision with some new ideas and some aspects of things is always good. No disrespect to anyone that's ever served in the past and their years of service. That's much appreciated, as we all know. But as time goes, things change. And I think that's one of the reasons that we have elections, because it gives you the opportunity to look at new people and new ideas. I'm a proven leader. I've worked hard on all the different organizations I volunteer for. I work hard for my family. I work hard for my job. One thing you'll find is you won't find me coming out every 4 years asking for your vote. You'll find me every day there for you at every event that I can get to, every possible thing that you'll see me, so you'll know and see me. It won't have to be a phone call that you have to make, because you'll probably see me in an event, and that's no different than I am today, that I will be as I serve as magistrate. I think it's important to be involved in your community and be a face at all times. That's why I think I've been successful in a lot of the organizations I help with, because we work well together for that reason, because everybody has the same goal, and that's to make Richmond the best place to live in Madison County. And I do think that a partnership, as Mr. Hughes says, with the City of Richmond, City of Berea, and the fiscal court is crucial, and that would be one of my main goals, is making sure that happens. Thank you all for your time. And thank you, and also ask you for your vote on November the 6th. Scott Johnson, 2nd District.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes, your closing remarks. You will have 90 seconds.
You know, I love this county, and I love the people in it. and I'm proud of the history. We have a very rich history here in Madison County. I mean, how many counties can lay claim to Daniel Boone and a famous Civil War battle? We have a lot to be proud of. We have a deep, deep heritage, and I'm proud of that. I'm a product of Madison County, the education system. I have the experience and the education that I can make a difference in our county to help move us forward. We have such great potential. It's already a great county. I mean, it's already a great county, but it has a lot of upside, and I think I can make a difference in helping move the county forward and making it just a little bit better.
Thank you. Mr. Tudor, your closing comments.
Thank you, Christy. I was elected 4 years ago to serve the people of Madison County. That's what I've done, and that's what I'll continue to do. I work nearly 30 hours a week as a magistrate, along with my own business as farming. Whenever I get a call, I usually answer that call within the hour, or sometimes within the day, and never over a day and a half. My record shows that. When I came into office 4 years ago, we had 2 20-inch snowfalls. I climbed in the snowplow and rode it all night long with one of the employees just to see firsthand and experience what our employees go through. I will never ask one of our employees to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. I think hard work and effort sometimes means more than a person's education. If you're willing to put forth the total effort 100% every day, every time, it shows. And that's what I've tried to do for a county. I think people realize that, and I ask for your vote for John C. Tudor for Magistrate in the 3rd District.
Thank you. And Mr. Bodkin, your closing statements in a minute and a half.
So just once again, I would like to thank Eastern, Christy, your time, Mindy, Chamber of Commerce, thank you. I'd like just to read a statement. Most of it will be some things we've already repeated. But I've served the residents of Madison County for 20 years as Chief Warrant Officer 3 of the United States Army. During that time, I fought to defend the Constitution of the United States, the freedoms and liberties which we enjoy every single day. I chose to become a public service in 2014, running for District 4 Magistrate for one reason only, to help people that couldn't help themselves. Over the last 3 years, I've met many 4th District residents, 16,000 that I represent, requesting assistance with both small as well as complex issues. Whenever it's possible, I work with proper county departments, state agencies to provide those services to grant those requests. Your physical courts made great strides during the last 3 years, and I believe the 4th District and Madison County are better for our efforts. However, with all of our accomplishments and successes, we still face many challenges in the future, which is why I'm campaigning to serve for a second term as 4th District Magistrate. Absolute top priority has to be the safe destruction of 523 tons of VX and GB serving nerve agents stored at the Bluegrass Army Depot. The prevailing 4th District covers the west side and south side of the depot, and depending on prevailing winds, 4th District and Madison County will be in grave danger should a spill occur in the destruction of those rockets. While the Bluegrass chemical activity has redundant safety systems in place, absolutely zero mistakes can be made in handling, processing, and destruction of those nerve agents. Second priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have a round of applause for all of our candidates. We thank you, gentlemen, for the healthy discussion, and we remind you that there will be additional forums that will be held, sponsored by the Chamber, right here in this same room. Next up on Monday, October 1st, we will hear from the candidates for Circuit Court Clerk, in addition to, lost my page here. In addition to the county attorney, PVA, sheriff, and county jailer candidates. So a full lineup of additional candidates that you can meet and hear from on Monday, October 1st. Doors open at 5:30 and the event begins at 6. Good luck to all of you in the election. We thank you for your time to be here tonight, and thank you to all of our participants in submitting questions and listening to this important dialogue. Don't forget to vote, and thank you to my timer, Ms. Schubert. Everyone have a safe and wonderful evening.